going on, Jeromes? So with the trading of slinging Sam Howell, not Korea's quarterback, as well as the cutting of Brett Rippon-Ass, despite the trade for Carson Wentz, it appears that Max Brosmer has gone from UDFA, undrafted free agent from the Gophers, to the Vikings 53-man roster. It's absolutely right, because he's Maximus Jerome Ezekiel Balthazar Brosmer, a.k.a. America's quarterback. Right. And we've kicked this around for a while. And now I'm sure we're going to get pushback and blowback and all that stuff. But why can't Max Brosmer be our version of Brock Purdy? Now, I'm not saying in the sense that J.J. McCarthy is Trey Lance. Shut your face. Shut your mouth. Right. So J.J. McCarthy is going to be future franchise quarterback, current franchise quarterback, lead the Vikings to a dozen Jerome Bardys in the next 10 years. Let's get that out of the way. First and foremost, he's not the pride of Marshall, Minnesota, like Trey Lance, right? But Brock Purdy, I feel like Brosmer, there's a lot of similarities, a little bit eerie. I feel like there's a lot of things going on, as well as Brosmer has the privilege of being at the Kevin O'Connell Center for blah, 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 blah. So all of the career rehabs that he's had, Sam Howell didn't work, but he gets that tutelage just like J.J. McCarthy. He's got Josh McCown. He's got everything, right? I can't see real good. Is that Brock Purdy right there? Number 12, red jersey? Yeah. Now, you remember Brock Purdy, right? So Purdy was the dead last Mr. Irrelevant draft pick of the 2022 draft, and he was picked up as a flyer. It's like, okay, he will, former teammate of Sam Darnold, but he'll back up Trey Lance, the pride of Iowa State. He'll do some decent things and whatever. And through injuries and hooker by crook and Jimmy Garoppolo being bad, Brock Purdy got on the field and he hasn't left. And he's been very successful with the San Francisco 49ers. Super Bowl appearances, NFC title game appearances, and overall, even though he's surrounded by the Avengers, he's done some really good things for Kyle Shanahan and company out there. And also this offseason, he got rewarded with a 5-year, $265 million deal, which should cover rent in the Bay Area for a couple months. That's about it. But long story longer, similarities between Max Brosmer and Brock Purdy. So late drafted, Brock Purdy, last pick of the 2022 draft. There's also rumors and speculation that Purdy had been contacted by the Vikings that he would have been picked up as a UDFA in 2022 by Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi in their first year. That would have been interesting. All right, but late drafted or undrafted like Max Brosmer, both started a ton of games in college. Now, the Bros show was started for the Gophers only for one season, but he started a bajillion games back in New Hampshire back in the day. Accurate arm, quick release, and that was one of the hallmarks about Brosmer, where he set a completions record for the Gophers, where hey, process quick, fast through progressions, check that box, get rid of the ball, put it where your playmakers can get it. Move on to the next down, right? More arm talent than give him credit. Now, I know that Purdy, we're guilty of this too. It's like, oh, he's a check down wizard. It's really easy to accumulate stats when you're throwing swing passes and screens to Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk and Debo when he was there and Kittle. Fully get it. But Brock Purdy can go downtown Julie Brown. Like I think that he's been top 3 in terms of ADOT each of his last 2 seasons as a full-time starter, which certainly is interesting. Plus, with Brosmer as well, it's more than just check downs and just being accurate underneath. Like you've seen it, like all those 9 routes up the left sideline, mainly to Tim Jones, which he's making a case to make the 53 as well. But he definitely has that arm, definitely there. How did he go undrafted? Just like how Brock Purdy, how did he end up as the last pick of the draft? Senses pressure can buy time. So, Purdy being surrounded by Trent Williams and a good offensive line, I mean, that certainly helps. But, Brosmer, and we said this a bunch, first team, second team, third team, pressure is pressure. And Brosmer again protected by the third team offensive line quite often. There's some pressure there. I mean, he got sacked 4 times in one of the preseason games, but it doesn't rattle him. And he'll come back and make a play. And when there is quick pressure, when the pocket's breaking down, he's not throwing up for grabs like Howell did, or he's not just tucking and running. Like he's keeping his eyes downfield, trying to make a play, trying to let his guys come uncovered and go from there. Also, throwing with anticipation, and we saw this a lot with J.J. McCarthy and Jordan Addison, like throwing a guy open as opposed to a lot of quarterbacks come out of college, see it, throw it. throwing with anticipation, trusting that your guys are going to be there, knowing the offense, which is great. Also, operate within the framework of the offense, and coaches can trust them early in their careers. Where, I mean, on that last, that go route to Fleming, Max Brosmer checked at the line of scrimmage. He audibled at the line of scrimmage, saw what the defense was, got into the right play, changed the protection, and just threw a dime. And yeah, ultimately Fleming dropped it, but it is what it is. And like the coaches trust, and they always rave about his high football IQ and acumen and all that stuff. And that's exactly what happened with Purdy. Obviously, since the 49ers, after Trey Lance with that ankle injury, Jimmy Garoppolo was bad. They didn't go out and get another veteran. They're like, okay, I guess the San Francisco 49ers, a team with Super Bowl aspirations, will just roll Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant, and go from there. Now, obviously, like we said, knocking down all the wood, I hope Max Brosmer does not play at any point this season, aside from some garbage time cleanup when the Vikings are up by 50 points, because we believe in JJ McCarthy. But if he had to, I don't know. But also, operating within the framework of the offense, where there's a difference between preseason hype, where a dude is just getting by against vanilla defenses with athleticism, just sort of taking over the game. It's sort of like the best kid in the Sandlot football game, whereas Brosmer's come in, Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips. He raved about Wes Phillips, as well as Josh McCown, operating within the offense, just checking the boxes, not doing anything crazy, not coloring outside the lines, not doing anything that's rocking the boat, just operating the offense efficiently. And with Purdy, a lot of people say it's like, well, Shanahan completely made Purdy, which is a fair assessment. But I mean, did Bill Walsh make Joe Montana? I mean, you certainly make that argument too. And what's he supposed to do? You want Brock Purdy out there just like improvising, just taking off running, just like whatever. Mahomes and Bert Favre, like they're throwing the no-look passes. It's whatever. And I feel like, what's the end game with Brosmer, right? Floor, I think his floor, like he'll be a decent backup for JJ McCarthy for a number of years. I think his ceiling will be, hey, Brosmer, the Bro Show, has shown up and shown out, 2-3 preseasons in a row, look good in training camp and joint practices. We, as a different team in this league, we see the Vikings having success with J.J. McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell. Let's trade for Max Brosmer. Let's sign him in free agency so the Vikings get a comp pick, right? So I think that's the end game for Brosmer. Like, I honestly could see, because everything that he's done in training camp as well as in preseason is translatable. Like, hey, operating the offense, go through progressions, get rid of the football, throw an accurate ball at all three levels, every blade of grass, like that is translatable, whether it's third team, second team, first team, whatever. So I feel like, JJ McCarthy's going to win dozen Robards the next 10 years. Yes, but Brosmer, super interesting. And it's not the worst thing in the world to have depth at the most important position in sports, because knocking on all the wood, but stuff happens. And also, let's remember, Trey Lance was supposed to be the franchise. The 49ers don't get enough poop for the Trey Lance trade, where they trade 3 firsts and a third to go up to number 3 to go get him, and basically gave up on him after like a year and some change, right? And like the grand scheme for Brock Purdy is like, hey, we spent a 7th round pick on a quarterback, he'll be back up Trey. Like Brock Purdy this year should be 4th year restricted free agent, or like Tyson Bagent, 2-year, $10 million extension, back up for Trey Lance. Oh, he looks good in preseason. That's what his career trajectory should have been, but he sees his opportunity. And I feel like the Vikings have something, right? It may be insane, but it may be preseason hype, but I don't think it is. Like, I feel like Brosmer, it's more steak than sizzle. I feel like there is something there. And if he's actually ever called on to operate things, I think he could be fine. But I guess we'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Could Max Brosmer be the next Brock Purdy? And no, J.J. McCarthy is not Trey Lance. Let's just reiterate that point. No. That's it. Anyways, let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. To do. Skol, production value.